Hello, let's continue our Sudoku adventure with Sweet Potato by Palfly Kampling. This is a really interesting rule set. I have not done it before, so we'll be learning it together here. But we have normal 6x6 Sudoku rules, meaning in every row, every column, and every 2x3 box, we are placing the digits 1 to 6 exactly once each. We also have coordinate arrows in the grid. What these do is you read them from the start of the arrow moving to the tip. So let's say this was 1, 4. We read this starting from the base of the arrow towards the tip, and this is telling us that there's a digit in row 1, column 4. So the 1 is the row, and the 4 is the column, because the row goes on the non-pointy end, and the column goes on the pointy end. And so there's something in row 1, column 4, which is this. We read the rows as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We read the columns as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is row 1, column 4 is here. And then that would tell us that there is the sum of them is there, that the 5 goes there. Because the sum of 1 and 4 is 5, and it goes in row 1, column 4. That's the example. All right. All arrows must correspond to different coordinates. So if I put 1, 4 here, I can't put exactly 1, 4. Oh, that's a bad. If I put 2, 4 here, I can't put exactly 2, 4 here either. Each arrow is its own distinct coordinate. Digits may repeat on an arrow if allowed by other rules. So this could be 2, 2, and that would tell us that row 2, column 2 is a 4. And that's legal. All right, and that's it. Those are the rules. There's a link in the description if you'd like to try the puzzle yourself. And I'm going to get started right now. I don't know what's going to be useful, but I'm just going to brainstorm here. The first thing that I noticed about these arrows is their sum can't exceed 6. Right, so these sum to 6 or less, which means there's always going to be a low digit on them, because if you think about it, if we don't, a low digit being 1, 2, 3, right? If we don't include a 1, 2, or 3, then the minimum we could do is 4 plus 5, which is 9, right? Even a 3 isn't low enough. We need a 1 or a 2, I'm pretty sure. Because if 3 is our lowest number, then 3 plus 4 is 7. So our lowest number, every single one of these arrows has a 1 or a 2 on it. That seems important. That's probably why we're given a 1. So there's definitely a 2 on this arrow somewhere, talking about row 2 or column 2. And there's definitely a 2 on this arrow somewhere, because the 1 sees both of these. Now this is a really bad marking for these 2s, but I usually do them for the box, but I wanted to designate that. There's definitely a 2 on these arrows. If there was a 2 on this arrow, this could not be 2. This would be the 2. So along with the 2, we can't exceed 4. So these are from 2, 3, 4, because 2 plus 4 is 6. So these are 2, 3, 4, and they must contain a 2 along with a 3 or a 4, because the 1 is gone. So these are pointing at, yeah. So an arrow with 2 as its minimum digit can only be pointing at the 5 or the 6 in its corresponding row or column. But I was going to say we can only have 2 of them, but we can have 4 of them, because there can be a 5 or 6 in row 2 and a 5, 6 in column 2. All right, column goes on the tip. So if this was a 2, then the consequence of that is we're talking about column 2. And so there would be either a 5 here, or there would not be a 6 here. Okay, so I don't think this can be 4, because if this was 2, 4, then we'd be talking about row 4, column 2. We'd be talking about this digit itself. We'd have to put a 6 there. So that's not 4. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that. Is there some reason this or this can't be 2? I'm not sure. There's more. There's probably more to these arrows that I haven't thought about then. There's never a 6 on an arrow. Does that help? Because 6 plus something is always bigger than 6. And 6 is our biggest digit. You know, none of these are 2. I don't know if that helps. Do I think about more cases on this arrow, maybe? Because if this is a 2, we're definitely talking about column 2 here. So it would be 2, 3. Oh, yeah, that would put a 5 here. So let's follow that through. I'm gonna write this out because if I keep too much in my head, I feel like it's hard to follow. So if this was a 2, no, sorry, if this was a 2, we know this has to be, oh no, it could also be a 2. Right, we can repeat. So, well, let's rule out 2, 3 first of all. Because if we can rule out 2, 3, then that forces this to be a 2. So 2, 3, that adds to 5. So in row 3, column 2, we place a 5. And this is what concerned me, is putting a 5 on an arrow like this. So this would be 5, 1. And this would tell us that in row 5, column 1, we would need a 6, but there's already a 2 there. That's no good. We can't do 5, 1 on any arrow because row 5, column 1 can't be a 6. So the result is this cannot be a 3. This has to be a 2. Now that doesn't mean this isn't a 2, but it does mean that this is not 1 or 2, which means this is the one for this arrow, and it's going to be talking about column 1. So if this was 1, 3, that would be row 3, column 1. That would put a 4 here. That seems okay. 1, 4 would put a 5 here. That seems okay. 1, 5 would put a 6 there. That's no good. I feel like we should have learned more from that. There's a 1 in one of these too. So let's look at these cases then. We're talking about row 2 here. So 2, 2 would put a 4 there. 2, 3 would put a 5 there. 2, 4 doesn't work. That would put a 6 on this arrow. So that's not a 4. So we can't do 2, 4 on any arrow, which means this can't be 2, 4. So this can't be the 4. And that's a 2, 3 pair in this box. So these are from 4, 5, 6. We're getting there. There's probably something about this arrow. I just don't have any restrictions on it. So we have a 4 here or a 5 here. 4 here would force 3 here. Which would put a 4 there. So 4, 4, 4. I mean, that seems okay. So 4 or 5. Oh. Okay, one of these two is a 4. Maybe that's helpful. So if this is a 4, obviously one of these two is a 4. It's this one. The only other option is this is a 3, in which case we do in row 3, column 1, we put a 4 because of the arrow. So in both cases, 4 is in one of these two cells. Puts it over here. I don't think that was helpful, was it? But that means these aren't 1, 2, 4. So these are 3, 5, 6, which I am not ashamed to mark. Row 2, column 4 or 5. Is it this arrow? Is it this arrow? Let's look at this arrow for a second. This can only be 2 or 3. So if this was a 2, that's telling us about column 2 here. Right, we know we can't do 2, 4. Oh, sorry, yeah. Row 4, column 2 has a 2 in it. So this can't be a 4. Because we can't do row 4, column 2. Row 3, column 2 is only a 3 or a 4. That doesn't work. If this was a 3, this would be 3, 2, and it would put a 5 there. That doesn't work. It's the same reason we couldn't do that on the other arrows. I probably should have realized that when I reduced it on one arrow, it reduces it on all the arrows. So anyway, this is a 2 then, because we can't do row 3, column 2. So this is row 2, column 3. So row 2, column 3 is a 5. And row 2, column 2 is a 4. And we get all of these digits. Row 3, column 1 is a 4. We got that. That's 6, that's 5. That's 6, that's 5. Wow, okay. This column finishes with a 2, this column finishes with a 6, and this is a 1, 3 pair. Nice. All right, this is 4, 5 pair. I'm just going to write out some obvious stuff. 1, 3, 6. In fact, just writing out all this roping is probably helpful. 2, 5, 6, that's not a 2. 1, 3, 4. Oops, 1, 3, 4. Okay. So it's got to be this arrow then. We know there's a 1 or a 2 on it. There is not a 2 on it. This 2 and this 2 take 2 off of it. So there's definitely a 1 on it. So we're going to be, can we be talking about row 1? That's the first question. So this would be row 1. Row 1, column 2 doesn't work. Row 1, column 3 doesn't work. So it would be row 1, column 4, putting a 5 there. That does work. Or row 1, column 5, putting a 6 in row 1, column 5. That doesn't work. So this has to be, if the 1 is here, it has to be 1, 4. If the 1 is here, that's talking about column 1. So 1, 2 would put a 3 there. That actually works. Oh, but this can't be a 2, right? There's no 2 on here. 1, 3 would put a 4 there. Oh, but we already have a 3, 1. We cannot repeat the 3, 1. There's a rule about that. So we cannot do 3, 1 for that reason. 4, 1 would put a 5 there. Do I have a 4, 1? I don't. So, but this can't be 4. And can't be 5. Oh, okay. So there we go. This is 1, 4 then. And row 1, column 4 is a 5. And I think that should finish everything. 3 and 4, 5 and 4. Remembering that one rule is important, it seems like. 2 and 5. This is our 3 and our 1. 1, 3, 6. This isn't 1 or 3. So that's 6, 1, and 3. That's, 6 and 1. We need 2 and 3 here. And we're done. We DT2 right at the last second. Last digit. Nice. That was a really interesting constraint. I think the rule that you can't have repeated arrows might be difficult to remember. It happened right at the end of the puzzle. Wasn't used otherwise. Also, I could have done a lot more work in just going to every single arrow and just figuring out the possibilities that could go on any of them. I think that would have sped up the solve a lot. Because if it doesn't work on one arrow, it doesn't work on any arrow generally. So I should have thought of that, but I did not. And these did end up repeated, so a lot of the rules were very important to remember. All right, cool. Well, hope you enjoyed this. If you did, then why not leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.